In this last section, we're going to look at reading information from a box plot and being able to compare two or more box plots. Quite often, two or more box plots will be graphed one above the other or side by side, so in order that you can make a comparison of the data that each box plot gives you. So the things you can compare quite easily by looking at the box plots, the two we'll focus on will be the average values, which is the median. Now remember, in a box plot, this middle line here represents Q2, the median value. And the other thing we might look at comparing here is the interquartile range, which is Q3 take away Q1. Now remember, Q3 is this line here, and Q1 is represented by this line here on a box plot. Therefore, the length of this line from this part here to this part here will be the interquartile range. In other words, Q3 take away Q1 will give you the length of this line. And we can also use the semi-interquartile range for comparison, but when we're comparing box plots, it's probably interquartile range we'll use. Remember, box plots are unlikely to be in a National 5 exam. As I said, they've been taken out of the course specification from what used to be in the general and credit courses, but it'll help you try some of the old past paper questions and give you a better understanding of the quartiles, which will still be in National 5. So what we'll now look at is an example of a comparative box plot, so two box plots, one above the other, so we can compare the statistics we talked about in the previous slide, which were the median values and the interquartile range. Here we have the price of petrol in rural garages and the price of petrol in urban garages are shown next to each other. Now what that means is they would have taken a collection of urban garage prices and created a 5-figure summary and then plotted that into a box plot. The same with rural garages. There's been a number of rural garages. They would have taken the price of petrol there and made a 5-figure summary and again turned that into a box plot. So what we have there is a box plot here and here representing a number of urban garages and a number of rural garages. What we need to do is make two valid comparisons between the rural prices and the urban prices. Now, the two things we're looking to compare in this case will be the median value and then the interquartile range. So we'll start off with the median value. Now in this case I don't even need to write down the actual value of the median here. It's hard to tell from this scale exactly where that kind of falls, maybe about £1.08 or £1.09 for this urban garage median here. Remember, the median is this middle line here. Remember, all I'm looking to do in this question is make a comparison, so I'm comparing the median value here with the median value here. Now what you can see is the median value for rural garages is further along this scale than the median value for urban garages. So we can say the median price for rural garages is higher than the median price for urban garages. So we'll write that down here first. The median price for rural garages is higher. And then remember, when we're comparing medians, we're comparing an average. So we're going to have to use this language. So on average, rural garages are more expensive. Now, not all rural garages are more expensive, but the median value, remember, it just gives you the average. So it's important, again, we use these words here, so on average. That should really be there in your conclusion there. We've got two parts to this. We've got a comparison and we've got a conclusion. So our comparison is the median price for rural garages is higher, and then a conclusion, so on average, rural garages are more expensive. Now, that's taking care of the median comparison. The second thing I can make a comparison on here is the interquartile range. So remember, the interquartile range is Q3, which is this line here, take away Q1. If I do this value, take away this value, it effectively gives me the length of this line. So the interquartile range is the length from here to here, and the interquartile range for rural garages is the length from here to here. So straight away we can see the interquartile range for rural garages is bigger than the interquartile range for urban garages. So that would be my comparison. I need to say which one is bigger. So the interquartile range for rural garages is higher. Therefore, now remember, what an interquartile range or a semi-interquartile range tell you is it tells you how spread out the data is or how varied it is. Because the rural garages have a much higher interquartile range, it means their prices are less consistent or more varied. So what we're saying here is the interquartile range for rural garages is higher, therefore the prices in rural garages are, and you can either say more varied or less consistent. Okay, so as I said here, we could use the words the prices in rural garages are less consistent or more varied. It's entirely up to you which one you use.